sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens. Le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida TV. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
It's a Sick Podcast. Welcome, Marinaro with you. Thanks, everyone, for watching. You're checking us out on YouTube Live, Twitter Live, or Facebook Live. Thank you once again. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. More subscribers, the better it is. We absolutely love it. The Sick Podcast brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group, recently named by Financial Times, one of America's fastest growing companies in 2023, recognized by the Globe and Mail as a top growing Canadian company 2 years in a row. They work with some of the biggest Fortune 500 companies, providing end-to-end logistics services. Join a winning team and check out Energy's career page for available opportunities. Also brought to you in part by Playground, where you can experience the world-renowned poker experience with free food and drinks at their cash game tables. A bad beat jackpot that's already over $700,000 after the world record-setting amount of $2,590,000 was won back on August 2nd. Weekly promotions, daily tournaments, unmatched customer service. Why play anywhere else? Located just over the Mercier Bridge, only minutes from downtown Montreal. It is Playground, and also brought to you in part by these guys right over here, La Bittt Tibi, brewed in Quebec, a winner of a dozen international awards. La Bittt Tibi offers quality microbrewery beers made with premium ingredients for everyone's taste. La Bittt Tibi, embrace your true nature. Tonight on the Sick Podcast, look, I'm sure he's going to have a smile on his face because not very long ago, he signed a contract, a one-year deal, $825,000 with the Detroit Red Wings. There you have it. Look at that. What a beauty, huh? Joe Veleno, how are you? Joe, are you there? Joe is a part-time magician, all right? So every now and then, he appears and he disappears. He does that on the ice as well. There he is. We got him. Joe, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Very, very good. Joe, thanks for doing this. Not your first contract. I don't know how many gifts you bought yourself to say, hey, you work hard, you deserve this. Here's a little gift. But did you buy yourself anything with this most recent contract, Joe?
No, I haven't yet. It's pretty recent, so I'm still thinking of, what I can buy next.
Yeah. And when you do buy something and you splurge every now and then, not often, right? Yeah. Every now and then to say, hey, you know what? I deserve it. What do you usually buy?
I'm very into clothing industry. I like to, spend money on clothes, t-shirts.
Yeah.
I'm very into shoes as well. So I like to switch up my shoes every once in a while. But other than that, I'm, nothing too crazy.
To the point where at your place in Detroit, do you have a walk-in closet or no?
I do. Yeah. But I don't like to bring too much stuff over there. I'm always pretty much wearing, more or less the same things in the wintertime. No one really sees me besides, the guys at the rink. So
yeah,
I don't like to dress up that much during the year, but in the summer it's a little different, with the weather and, the summer fits, which I like to dress up a little bit more. And, I tend to, go out a bit more too in the summer rather than during the season. So, yeah.
I had a chance to see you at the LSHL, of course, Summer League 3-on-3 hockey, which I really like. I think the fans absolutely love it, right? Because the games kind of remind me of basketball, that the ice surface is kind of like smaller, like a basketball court would be. And, it's offense one way and then offense another way and then offense another way and then offense back there. I think it's a lot of fun. It leads to a lot of scoring chances. Did you have fun? Did you enjoy yourself?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's been a couple of years now that I've been a part of it. And, the last 2 years, it's really grown. They've, done a good job, with advertising it and, really trying to bring the fans involved, and it's always a good time to, obviously play competitive hockey. So I've always enjoyed, playing 3-on-3. It's, a little different than 5-on-5. I think the guys love it. We got, a great support staff, great fans that come and help us out. So yeah, I can't say anything, bad about the league. And I think it's just every year it's growing more and more. And I think more fans want to come watch. So
yeah,
it's really nice for the fans.
And all for a great cause, of course, because the proceeds going to Pancreatic Cancer Society, which is a great cause. It's obviously when you play 3-on-3, there's no structure, right? You're going out there. It's like a game of pond hockey, really.
Yeah.
Considering that you play such a structured game throughout the entire season, is it kind of like refreshing for you, like a breath of fresh air to play that kind of hockey, because you don't have defensive responsibilities all that much and you can just let loose and have fun, kind of like when you were a kid?
Yeah, like I said, it's obviously it's a bit different than what we're used to during the year, so I think we try to have the most fun with it as possible, but also we're super, super competitive, so these games can sometimes, get a little feisty, but yeah, I mean, it definitely allows us to just kind of, try new things that we don't normally see guys trying, throughout the year. Yeah, you see a bunch of fancy plays and, guys passing a million times before taking a shot on net. So, yeah, it's, we try to practice our skills. Guys want to, also have fun and try new things. And I think it just, leads to, playing loose and just having fun.
Speaking of feistiness, like I know you see it coming from a mile away, so we'll just get it out of the way, Joe. It was a tough couple of months for you, okay? Because at the World Hockey Championships, there was that stomping incident with Nino Niederreiter in which you were suspended. I've known Joe Veleno for a long time. I followed Joe Veleno when he was playing in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. I know that Joe Veleno is a hockey player with the best of intentions, who plays the game clean as clean can be. It's a contact sport. Things happen, obviously. A lot of people saw that and they're like, whoa, like that's not good. Throw the book at him. He deserves to get suspended, whatever. Ultimately, you got suspended. How difficult was it for you to go through that entire time of you representing your country? You go there at the World Hockey Championships. You want to have a good showing. You don't want to let anyone down. The incident happens. You're suspended. You're hearing a lot of things. I know you're active on social media. You probably read a lot of things. It's not easy stuff to deal with. How did you deal with it?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, wasn't something that I was very proud of. Obviously, if I can go back in time, I'd obviously, take everything back and wish that I can just, be a part of that play and not, do what I did. And obviously my intention.
Pardon me. You assume responsibility, Joe? Like, do you assume responsibility and say, you know what?
I do, obviously I take actions, I take actions into my own hands. And at the end of the day, I did do what I do, or I did do what I did. And, I'm the one playing on the ice and I'm the one, in control of my own body. So, obviously, can't really, explain what was going through my head. It was just obviously, it's a fast game and, things escalate pretty quick. And sometimes, you get, in heated times during the game. And, obviously I've never done something like that in my career and never will I do it again. So, obviously wasn't easy to, to look at social media and, hear everyone talking about it. Obviously, it was everywhere on social media. So I just, try to shut my phone down for a couple days. And Hockey Canada did a good job with, supporting me and, just being there for me when those times were tough. And, obviously my family too, and my friends reaching out, they were all supporting me. So, I had a really good support group, guiding me through this. And I never really dealt with anything like that. But, at the end of the day, it happens. And I just, try to, forget it and move past it. And I know that I'm not that kind of hockey player. And, it's something that I know for sure that it won't happen again.
So, talk to me about some of the steps that you took to deal with it. All right, you already told me one of them. I shut down social media for at least a couple of days. I didn't want to read anything. All right, so another thing was you were getting calls, you were getting messages from your friends, who knew what you were going through. They were all messages of support. That was part of your healing process. Were there other things that you did? Did you reach out to Niederreiter by any chance or anything like that? Or
Yeah, I mean, it was after the game, when we were shaking hands, I told him sorry, and obviously, in his standpoint, obviously it could have been a dangerous play, and luckily that it wasn't. Nothing bad happened, and it obviously, just looking at it, even me, looking back at that video, it's obviously I was a little disgusted by it too, and I was kind of saying to myself, what was I thinking? And I'm just really happy that he didn't get hurt out of that. Obviously, I'm a good sport of the game, and I respect players and I respect the game of hockey, and it's just obviously something that I try to not look too much at it, and I mean, I had apologized to him when we were shaking hands, and just glad he's okay.
So here you are. You're trying to get it out of your head, and a couple of months later, I'm bringing it back up. All right, so let's move on. Me too. I want to bring up, courtesy of Hockey DB here, your player card, so people can see where it all started from you and where we're at right now in your young career. You're 23 years of age. You'll turn 24 in the middle of January, so let's call you 23 and a half for now. You had your 4 years in the queue. Of course, you won the President's Cup there. You spent 54 games 1 year with Grand Rapids. You went to play for Malmo for a bit, Grand Rapids again for a couple of games, Grand Rapids again even a couple of years ago. The Detroit Red Wings have a tradition back when Steve Yzerman was a player, and now he's your general manager, that players spend a lot of time in Grand Rapids before making the jump to the National Hockey League. When they make the jump, it's because they're ready. When you look back, what do you take out of your American Hockey League tenure?
Yeah, I think it was great for me. Obviously, coming out of junior, and I haven't played any pro hockey. I think it was just a good developing step into my career. I think every player, especially coming out of juniors, I think it's always good to to not really rush a player into the NHL, especially when they're not necessarily ready. And I thought me going to Grand Rapids really gave me the time to develop and work on my game and work on what I needed to work on in order to be in the NHL. And they said to me many times when I was in Grand Rapids, obviously they want to, when they call me up, they want me to stay there and stay there for good. And I think that's their philosophy with developing players is making sure they're ready when they come to the NHL. And I think in looking at that, they want them to develop and gain confidence in at the pro level. And obviously by doing that, you got to go through our American League system in Grand Rapids. I think they do a really good job at developing and really working with the guys. And I mean, I can't say anything bad from their standpoint. They've done an awesome job with me. And even when I was in juniors, they were always coming and watching.
Oh, really?
With them. And yeah, they came down a couple times, with Sean Horkov and Dan Cleary, their player development guys, when I was in junior. And they've doing video at least twice a week with us, and send us clips and get on the phone and come watch us. Like they were.
Oh, wow.
He was really on me, and I mean, I obviously appreciate everything they've done, and taught me. I've learned a lot through them, and it's been good for me to kind of go through that process and develop into an NHL player.
Joe, you talk to anyone, they'll tell you the hardest thing in the National Hockey League is the center ice position. And of all the positions, you're playing that 200-foot game. You have to deal with winning faceoffs in key areas. You're obviously, you could be going up against some very, very good players on the other side. You not only have to shut them down, but at the same time, you have to put up points. You have to support all areas of the ice. It's hard. It takes a lot of getting used to. It takes a lot of years to perfect. Can you begin to put into words, like if we watch the game, we can all see it, how hard it is for a young player to not only make his way into the National Hockey League, but to make it at the center ice position?
Yeah, it's it's definitely not easy, but I think for me, what's helped me is I've been playing center all my life, so I've always kind of played that position, and I didn't play. I would get put on the wing sometimes in my junior career, but I think it only happened once, one year in my career in juniors. So I've been pretty lucky to always play that center ice position and really perfect it and work on it. And now it just obviously I'm really used to it, and I'm accustomed to that position. So sometimes it doesn't come with easy matchups, but it's what it is, and your job is to essentially play that position and to shut players down, like you said, and also put up points. So it's a big task to ask. You got to be responsible defensively and be able to obviously produce. So there's a lot going on in that position.
Which is the most difficult matchup you've had up to now in the National Hockey League? When the game was over, you said, "Oh my God, that guy took me to school tonight, man."
I think it comes with no surprise, but I'd have to say McDavid. There was one night in Edmonton where obviously they had last change, so I was playing third line at the point. I was playing with Berggren and Perron that game, and I ended up being on the ice a lot of times with McDavid, and he's obviously very hard to defend, so probably have to say him.
He can fly, eh?
Yeah, he can fly. He's quick. He reads the game so well, and he always has the puck.
Without a doubt, best player in the league?
Yeah, I in my opinion, I think he's the best player in the league. Yeah.
I'm interested by this because you're like, yeah, in my opinion, I think he's the best player in the league. Number two?
Well, number two, I would probably go with McKinnon.
So now I have to ask you a third, but I'll stop at three, I promise.
Three, I would say. I think Draisaitl.
Yeah.
Draisaitl or Matthews are my number three.
Really, eh? Yeah. That's pretty good company. That's pretty good company. And once again, Draisaitl can play center to second line, but he can also play wing every now and then. They put him with McDavid on the wing. But for the most part, you ask someone that question, and for the most part, they give you centermen, right? Guys that are playing it's a big year for you. Like, I'll bring up something that you said here, and they put it up on the Detroit Red Wings Twitter page. I feel really good this summer, even better than I did last year. I've been gaining a lot of experience over the last 2 years, so I feel confident heading into the season. In terms of expectations, I set the bar high for myself. It's an important year for me. It's a 1-year deal. You're 23 and a half. It's a big time important year for you. Now, that comes with pressure. Are you putting this pressure on yourself? And if so, do you react well to putting pressure on yourself to say, I got it, this is my year. It's a big year for me?
Yeah, I think regardless of whether I took a different option in my contract, whether it was a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal, I think regardless, it was going to be an important year for me. I feel really confident this summer. I've obviously worked out with good company, and I feel like I've had some experience in the NHL now, so I have no question in my mind that I have the confidence to have a really good year. So
what's the summer been like for you? What's a typical day like in the summer for you, Joe, in Montreal? Who you train with? What time you get up? What do you do?
Yes, I get up at 7 Monday to Friday. I work out at 9. We have pretty good group of guys work out at Hockey Etc. So I do Andy O'Brien's workouts, so his program that he built for me, and Will Carrier, Scandella, Beauvillier, Aubé Kubel, Xavier Bourgault, Sam Bolduc. So we're a couple good. We're a big group in there. Obviously, it's split up in different times, but we consistently work out together.
Andy O'Brien, if I'm not mistaken, for a long time put together programs for Crosby McKinnon, right?
Yeah, he still does. He still does. But yeah, it's obviously I started working with him last year, and I felt a huge improvement in my game and my strength and just the way that I feel on the ice. My body feels really, really good. And same thing this summer.
What has he got you doing?
Well, so when I first met with him, he kind of just he examines your body and looks over at some clips in your games. He kind of looks after it and sees, what he thinks that I need, what I'm missing and all that stuff. And then obviously we have a little conversation too, and, what I want to improve on and what I'm looking to add this summer and all that stuff. So, it's kind of a back and forth conversation that we have. And then he checks in, every couple weeks in the summer, see how everything's going. But we're taken care of pretty well there at Hockey Etc. And he put together a good staff to look over us and make sure that everything's going smooth with our programs. And then afterwards we would skate. So at the beginning of the summer, obviously I don't skate a whole lot, but towards at this point in time, I'm on the ice 4 or 5 times a week. The skating sessions ramp up a little bit more, start playing more games. It's more battling and stuff like that. So that's pretty much what the summer's consisted of, for the most part.
What are your expectations?
Yeah,
when you see yourself in what share exactly?
Well, I obviously want to produce more than I did last year, and I think having an expectations and having a mindset where it's a killer mindset. It's a big year for me, and I want to come out of the gates flying right away. I want to have a good training camp. Obviously, like you said, it comes with a lot of pressure, but I think the game of hockey itself, we're top athletes, and we got to be able to handle the pressure, and there's always going to be pressure in our careers. Every game is important. Playoff time. In every situation, there's always a bit of added pressure, and I think that's what the best athletes do. They're able to handle that, and they face those hard times with with challenges. They take those challenges, and I think it's a good thing for me to have that mindset, and I think I really do well with handling the pressure. I've always done my whole entire life, and it's no different this year. I'm very confident I'm going to have a good year.
You, as a youngster, you always, you had an ability to score a lot of goals. You had an ability to put up a lot of points. In your final year in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, if memory serves me well, I think you picked up over 100 points. We just brought up the Hockey DB right there before. And you said, I'd like to improve on my point totals. I'd like to put up more points. How hard is it to put up points at the National Hockey League level? And are you convinced that you can at least be a second line centerman, which is, a position with a lot of responsibility, and a position second line centermen usually are putting up, over 55 or 60 points per season. You could, or have you seen the way it's going and you say, you know what? I think in the end, I'm going to end up being a real good, responsible two-way player that'll play about 15, 16 minutes a game. And I see myself probably as a third centerman. Like, do you even think about that at all, where you can see yourself, or you don't pay attention to that stuff at all?
No, I do. I mean, I do have the ability to become that, second line center. And, I think I'm, very talented. I'm obviously, I think I got all the tools pretty, in my toolbox. I think, I've always been a high end player, growing up, and I know that I have it in me. And I think it's just, most of it, has to do, with just being focused and, obviously having the right mindset. And, I'm not saying that I don't, but it's obviously, it's a different ball game once you step foot on the ice. And, um, I think I try not to think of it too much, but, I think I'm still young in my career, and, there's still a lot I need to improve on, but, I think I'm heading on the right tracks, and, I definitely want to become that player for the Detroit Red Wings. I want to be a responsible player, but, also, produce offense. And I know I have that ability. I just, got to keep working at it, and, just being focused every time I get on the ice and capitalizing on those opportunities. And eventually, it'll be with gaining more ice time and getting more of the coach's trust. And, when I'm gaining more minutes, then there's obviously more opportunities in producing and getting points. So, I think I'm heading towards that step, and that's definitely the player I want to become, is, a reliable two-way center that can produce offense. So, I have no doubt in my mind that I have that ability. It just needs to come out.
It's a couple of times now you mentioned to me about having, being focused and having the right mindset, which are going to be important factors going forward for you to be able to take the next step. That mindset. Do you work with a mental performance coach or anything like that, or do you think you have to? Do you find it's important?
I think it's important, but no, I don't work with a mental sports coach. I speak to our team psychologist sometimes, or sports psychologist throughout the season, and just on little brief things. But no, I've never have worked with a mental sports coach, and I know some guys like it, some guys feel like they need it, and I think it's just more of a personal thing.
Amazing. Hey, all of Montreal is watching, and they're going to like to have a scouting report of Lindstrom, obviously, who was acquired by the Montreal Canadiens in the Petrie trade. What can you tell us about Gustav Lindstrom?
Yeah, I think he's a great kid. I've obviously been with him my first year in Grand Rapids. I think it was also his first year. But I've spent a couple years now, got to know him a little bit, and he's a great guy. He's great in the locker room. Obviously, he was hurt a bit last year, which I think he's a really bright hockey player. I think he's a good first pass defenseman. He's good defensively. He's tries to make good plays. He tries to make smart plays, and he's not someone that you'll notice in a flashy way, but he doesn't make very many mistakes. He's like I said, very responsible defensively, and I think he adds a lot of depth to the Canadiens' blue line.
Sounds good. What do you expect from the Detroit Red Wings this season?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we obviously acquired some big players and some depth players. So
it looks like you're not in a rebuild anymore, right? It looks like you were in a rebuild for a while, but it looks like you're still trying to build the team there, but you're kind of like turning the corner.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're trying to advance in our rebuild. I mean, obviously Steve's got a plan. He's got a vision that he sees, better than anyone else. So, we've added some good players. We've added some young, talented players that I think, will help our team in a lot of different areas that we needed help in. And, I think we're all excited to see come training camp, what our team looks like, and, what our identity is going to be as a team and all that. So I think we're all pretty excited. I'm very excited to meet some of these new players and to play alongside some of them. So I think it's going to be fun.
Who do you find you have the best chemistry with?
Well, I haven't really figured that out yet. I think I was playing with a bit of everyone, but I think one guy that I can probably name off the top of my head is Jonathan Berggren.
Yeah.
I played with him in Grand Rapids. I've, built a very good relationship with him over the years. We were in the same draft class. We've done development camps together. We've played against each other, World Juniors, World Championships. We've always kind of been together in the same mix. So I get along with him off the ice, and, even on the ice, it's very easy to read. He makes players around him better, and it's very easy to follow and to be on the same line with him. He's got incredible vision. He finds players in open areas at the right time, and I built a pretty good chemistry with him on the ice.
Moritz Seider on the blue line. We watch him when we see like a player that at times like he just looks like he's so dominant out there on the ice, and yet he's still a relatively young player. What's it like training with him and watching him while you're on the bench, he's on the ice, or being on the ice with him? And what can you tell me about Moritz Seider? Because I'm thinking of buying his rookie card.
Yeah, I think you said it. I think you were right on with what you said. He's an incredible player, but he's even an incredible person. I think, he's got a good sense of humor. He's got a good character. And even on the ice, the way he plays, he's good in all areas of the game. He's solid defensively, can produce offense. He's got a good shot. He's got a good hockey sense. He's got the whole package. And, you're on the bench sometimes and you watch him on the ice, and, you kind of just open your eyes and realize, what he just did. Some of the plays that he does sometimes, whether it's, a defensive play or, hitting someone, or, it's incredible to watch. And I think everyone in Detroit enjoys watching him, and he's just a treat every time he's on the ice. He's so good at everything.
Yeah. You brought up David Perron's name before. You said that game, I think, versus the Oilers in Edmonton, they had the last change and you were on the ice with Berggren and Perron. I had a chance to see Perron, of course, also play in that LSHL Hockey League. Here's a guy who's had a very long career in the National Hockey League. He took his first steps in the 2007-2008 season, so he's been in the league for about 15 years. Won himself a Stanley Cup with the St. Louis Blues, and this guy just, he scored over 20 goals many, many times. His third season, he had 20. His fifth season, he had 21. His seventh season, he had 28. And then in the last several seasons, 23, 25, 19, 27, and 24 last year. Scoring goals, not an easy thing to do in the National Hockey League. This guy does it regularly, eh? He's got a great wrist shot. He
does. And, I think his best asset is his competitiveness. He looks to improve every time, regardless of his age. He loves the game. He's a student of the game, and he just, finds a way to, keep up with the young guys. And, I know he always says that he's getting old and that, but you know what, he's still got it. And, I was so impressed with, how he performs on the ice and in practices too. Like, he's always giving it his all. He's never taking any time off, and he's just so ultra competitive. And I think that's what makes him so good. His compete is so high, and he always wants to win. He hates losing, and that's kind of someone that I learned from a little bit. And he's helped me too throughout the season. Giving me some pointers and all that stuff. So he's someone that I like to to follow and to look at some of the things he does and how he handles himself. And he's a great guy. He's super nice with me, and I had nothing but great things to say about him.
It seems like it was just yesterday. He was playing for the Lewiston Maniacs, Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, and I remember talking to him. His favorite player was Alex Kovalev back in the day, and wanted to mimic his game. And
that's why I wear the white skates.
Yeah, the white skates. You're right. I remember one of the things I heard, as a matter of fact, is when he got drafted. I think when he got drafted, when he started playing in the National Hockey League, one of the first big purchases he made himself. You ever heard this story? Is that he bought himself a skate sharpener. He's very meticulous about his skates. He bought himself a skate sharpener.
Yes, that I can tell you.
Yeah. And his skates are important. Hey, look, I want to get to Steve Yzerman in a second, and I won't keep you on for much longer. But I've never asked you this. I don't usually ask, but I'll ask this time. I was watching a podcast with Alphonso Davies, and he was saying, of course, and I know you're a big soccer fan, it was, one of the best left backs in the world, and he plays for Bayern Munich, and he plays for the Canadians men's national team. And he was saying, he said, soccer isn't always fun. it's fun when you're at the field. It's fun when you practice. It's fun when you have games. And when you're not at the field practicing, or you're not at the field playing games, or at the stadium, there's a lot of downtime. There's a lot of free time, and there's a lot of alone time. If you don't have family following you over, you find it really, really tough. Are you alone in Detroit, or did you have some family follow you, or were you basically on your own from the get-go?
So like my first year in Grand Rapids, I lived with Moritz Sider. He was my roommate, and after there was that COVID year, so I went over in Sweden, which was I was kind of alone, obviously, over there during COVID, and then after I was in my first year in Detroit, I was pretty much alone, and there was still those COVID restrictions, but my parents came down. And then even last year, I got to have, my parents, my friends come down to a couple games. So
You find it tough, though? You find it tough? Or do you like the alone time?
No, you know what? It is tough. I mean, all those people, obviously, I have great relationships with, my family and my friends. Obviously, my family is very important to me, and, I spend a lot of time with them, and, I didn't get to, I don't usually get to see them too often during the years, especially when I was playing major juniors. I was never really home at a young age. So, it's always fun to spend time with them, and obviously with my friends too. It's I've created such good relationships with them, and
you're used to it, right? You're used to it, right? Being away.
I've developed to become used to it. Obviously, at first when I was a little younger, it was tougher, just because everything was so new. But after a certain while, you get used to it a little bit, and you really appreciate the times where they take time away and really come and see you. And I really appreciate that. When I'm able to see my family and my friends down in Detroit, it means a lot to me, and I'm really happy.
Yeah, no, I can imagine it's not easy. They say the toughest part of being a professional athlete is the whole mental part of the game, and that's part of it too, right? The being alone and stuff like that. It's well documented, your story with Steve Yzerman. As a matter of fact, the last time you joined us on the podcast, we talked about it, and he ended up giving you a lift. I think it was you're going to pick up your stuff in Grand Rapids and bringing you to Toronto. I think it was, right, for a long car drive, and some Tim Hortons in the car at the same time and stuff. What's your relationship with him? Do you have a direct line of communication to Steve Yzerman? Like, for example, I mean, this summer, did he pick up the phone and give you a call at any point? Joe, how are you doing? Does it work that way, or like, what's your relationship like with him?
No, I mean, I don't think it works that way, especially, maybe it will. Maybe, over time I'll develop a very close relationship with Steve, and I think I have a good relationship with Steve. Obviously we've had lots of conversations throughout the years, and I've had meetings with him and stuff like that. So
pretty good guy to learn from.
Yeah, he is. He's obviously got a great mind, and I've like I said, I've had conversations with Steve, and I didn't hear from him much this summer. Obviously with the contract negotiations, he was mostly talking to my agent, but he's obviously a great guy. I love chit-chatting with him. I think I have a good relationship with him, and I hope that definitely continues in the near future.
Joe, I know I speak for everyone in Montreal to say, how proud people are of you, of course. And I know you got a big support group, and everyone was pretty excited to see when you were drafted in the first round of Detroit Red Wings. They would have liked for it to have been Montreal, but who knows, maybe one day. But for now, you are a Red Wing. You're under contract. Congratulations on the contract. I wish you a healthy season, Joe. And I hope you can put up some of those points that you want to put up. And I know that it's not a question of if, it's when. I know it's going to come, and I hope for you it could be as early as this year. Thanks so much for doing this, man.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. Appreciate it.
I really appreciate it. All right, there you have it. Joe Veleno. Huh? Love that guy. Marinaro Murphy Clinic, an aesthetic clinic specializing in medical aesthetic care, offering permanent laser hair removal, as well as a wide range of treatments for skin problems such as acne, rosacea, fine lines, and more. They currently have 2 clinics, one located in Montreal, Shop Angus, and the second on the North Shore in Terrebonne, also opening soon in Quebec City. Visit murphyclinic.ca or on Instagram at Murphy Clinic. That's it for me. It's summertime, folks. Like I told you, some shows are going to be a little bit longer than others. This one here was a little bit shorter, but I think it was some pretty good quality. If you agreed, like it, share with your friends, comment sick, S-I-C-K. And if you're going to listen to us on Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review. It's our way of feeling the love. And I'm a nice guy. I deserve the 5 stars. And so does Joe Veleno, by the way, of course. Thank you very much to Joe. For Shane Gaumont at Master Control, as well as Juliana, Sammy, and Agnello Cavallaro. It's a sick podcast. And I'm Marinaro.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaBi.tb, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.